that was a foul. Here's why. That's a positive dialogue. I love to have that type of dialogue because that means you care about your job.
The CJ McCollum Show. Listen wherever you get your podcast.
This is Jerome from Birmingham, previously from Paul Feinbaum Show.
By the way, usually people have names. Before we even get going, can you tell us why you're not sharing a name with us?
Hey, Paul. Hey, I have a real job, so I try to keep a little bit of separation between my Twitter job and my real job.
Okay, I understand that. I have a real job, too. This is not my real name either.
The Paul Feinbaum Show. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC Network.
Well. It's that time of year. What time of year, you ask? What time of year is it, Kev Nash? Well, it's none other than
tax time.
It's the offseason, the official chime of the draft, and, of course, the offseason. The 2022 NFL season came to a close last night, Super Bowl 57. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 MVPs, and this was only his 5th full year as a starter, 6th year in the league, an unbelievable start to a career that we'll touch on here in a bit. But I called something last week, and it wasn't the score or the outcome or anything along those lines. I said something last week, Kev, that I'm like, I guarantee you, we'll be talking officiating. And sure enough, that's where we're at. But before we get into everything that went down in Super Bowl 57, we welcome you in. Kenner and Kev with you live here on a Monday. Mr. Kev Nash.
What up, dog?
Pretty chipper for a Monday.
Yeah, man. This is exactly what I love. This is how a football season or any sports season should end. The last game of the season needs to be a great game. Doesn't necessarily need to be the best game of the season. It just needs to be a good game, highly entertaining, highly competitive, and that's exactly what we got last night in the Super Bowl.
We welcome you in again, Kenner and Kev, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Multiple ways to get in touch with the show. You can call us, 518-1410. Text us at that same number, 518-1410. That's a new feature to get in touch with us here at the station. It's a pretty cool thing, too. We're excited to have that. 518-1410, 937 in front of it, of course. But 518-1410, call, text, whatever you got to do. The Justin Kenner Show Facebook page. We are live on that Facebook page. Go and check that out. That's where you could watch Kevin and I weekdays from 3 to 6. ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. We've been slowly growing that. The bosses have been happy about the increase in users and views and everything along those lines there. So we appreciate everyone who's been slowly helping us grow on this. I know we're not where we want to be as far as the amount of users and everything, but every day we do our best to try to increase that amount. You guys help with that, so thank you. But we opened it up. Super Bowl 57 last night, Kev, 38-35 the final, a much higher scoring game than we had anticipated.
Yeah.
You know, this score is kind of the score that we expected between the Bengals and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. You know, 2 high-powered offenses, 2 defenses that are capable of slowing down opposing offenses. But really, you know, you could score on them. You know, it's possible. But what we saw yesterday was more of what I expected from the AFC Championship game. And let's be honest, with Patrick Mahomes dominating, coming away with his 2nd Super Bowl MVP. I thought he was outplayed by Jalen Hurts. We'll get to Jalen Hurts in a moment because that dude has arrived. That dude is I'm an official believer in Jalen Hurts. And to be honest, even when I was feeling confident about him, I didn't think he could take he took another huge step. They didn't lose because of him yesterday. I mean, you can look at that fumble maybe if you want, but they didn't lose because of Jalen Hurts yesterday. They lost for what we had thought the strength was going to be, and it was that defense. I know the talking point is officiating, the officials. Folks, it's the Super Bowl, and we're going to talk about officiating. We watched a guy in year 5 win his second Super Bowl. We watched a guy in year 5 as a starting quarterback in the NFL win his second Super Bowl MVP. We watched a guy in year 5 of his NFL young career quarterback win his second regular season MVP this season. He's 27 years old, and he's accomplished more in 5 years than what some of the most legendary quarterbacks in the history of the NFL have accomplished in their 10 plus, 15 plus, 20-year careers. Jalen Hurts is an emerging star, drafted in 2020, a second-round pick, a guy that they just took a flyer on because they knew they had a quarterback in Carson Wentz that led them to a Super Bowl that didn't technically play in it. Nick Foles won Super Bowl MVP, of course. He finished the deal, but they knew that Carson Wentz was their guy. They spent a high draft pick on him originally. Everything was going smooth, and until it wasn't. They get Jalen Hurts. They felt like, well, we don't know if he's the guy, but we at least got to give him a shot. We'll throw him out there, see what happens. We at least need to show the fans that we gave it a shot with him. It's not going to work. We'll go on, find our next quarterback, yada, yada. They throw him out there. They make the playoffs last year, his first full year as a starter. One of the best running quarterbacks in the National Football League. Showed glimpses with his arm. They go out in the offseason. They completely invest in him. They invested on the offensive side of the ball. They invested in the offensive side of the ball through the draft the last couple of years. They go and they get an A.J. Brown. All right. They spend a ton of money in the offseason on the defensive side of the ball. They went all in. They were going to tell Jalen Hurts, sink or swim. You are either going to drown with everybody that we put around you, or you're going to maximize everything that we put around you. And guess what? He answered at the highest of levels. That's who we should be talking about today is Jalen Hurts, who is, in my opinion, has done a lot of all the same things that Joe Burrow has. He's, took a team that was heading in the wrong direction and brought them back to the promised land. He led them to a Super Bowl in year 2 as a starter. He came this close to winning a Super Bowl. And to be honest, played better than Joe Burrow did in his Super Bowl, played better than Patrick Mahomes yesterday. Jalen Hurts is the real freaking deal. But we're not talking Jalen Hurts. We're not talking Patrick Mahomes. We're not talking about the legendary coaching career of, obviously, Andy Reid at this point. Sirianni did a fantastic job this season. No. We're talking about the stripes. We're talking about the zebras. We're talking about the officials. And I am so sick of talking about the officials. I have been consistent on this, and I am not a homer. The Browns played the Chiefs a couple years ago in the AFC divisional round. They had a chance to get to the AFC championship. Patrick Mahomes goes down. They played Chad Henne. They had every opportunity. There was a penalty that the ball got kicked into the back of the end zone. It should have been, they had that taken away from them. The Browns would have scored there. They would have taken a 2-possession lead. That's when Patrick Mahomes went out. You didn't hear me. You remember when we came back in? I didn't say officiating. What did I blame? I blamed the 8 minutes that the defense allowed Chad Henne to stay out on the field and not let my Cleveland Browns get the ball back. And at that time, Baker was torching the Chiefs defense. And at that point, Baker probably would have sent them to the AFC championship game, which would have killed all of you guys. That would have been brutal for you. I didn't blame officials. I said, no, it's our defense's fault. That's the defense's fault. Buckeyes, Fiesta Bowl, Clemson. All the officials, I can't believe they picked up that call. I can't believe they did that. Now you gave up 21 unanswered points. That's how you lost that football game. I'm a Buckeye fan, but I didn't blame the officials. I don't like that. I don't do that. I've never done that. I never will. And that brings us to yesterday. The Philadelphia Eagles dominated in that first half. It should have actually been, if it wasn't for that scoop and score, it would have been 24-7 at halftime, and the Chiefs would not have come back and won that football game yesterday. That defensive touchdown was the big difference maker, that at the end of the day, we could talk about the 3 touchdowns from Mahomes, but it was that defensive touchdown that at the end of the day saved the day for the Chiefs. But you had a commanding lead. You had a 10-point double-digit lead in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles let it go. Patrick Mahomes was not at his peak yesterday, but he picked apart that Eagles defense. He led them from behind and again came down the field and scored. Not the penalty. The penalty didn't put the ball in the end zone. The penalty didn't allow Patrick Mahomes to carve up that Eagles defense in that second half. Stop blaming officiating. It is driving me crazy. I'm tired after every single time we have a high-stakes game, a national championship, Final Four, NCAA tournament game, whatever it is, Major League Baseball, World Series, I don't care. Stop blaming officiating because bad calls are going nowhere because there's as many good calls as bad calls. There will never be a high-stakes game that we don't talk about officiating because every call, just like every pass, every carry, every deflection, every interception, every turnover, every play call, everything is maximized or is magnified in the Super Bowl. So is the officiating. And no one has ever ended a Super Bowl or a big game saying, man, that was a hell of an officiated game. I love that officiating crew. I want them. No, we complain every year. And in a one-possession game, go find me a national championship game, a Super Bowl, a World Series where it's a one-run lead, a one-possession lead, couple possession lead in basketball. Find me a tight finish to a game, tight, that we're not talking about officials. It's not going anywhere. You guys, come on. We got to stop. Could the officiating be more consistent? Absolutely. But it's not going to be fixed. But what can be fixed is the defense. Don't let Patrick Mahomes on one leg carve you up. And the only reason Bengals fans are complaining so much about that Super Bowl yesterday is because you were hate watching the Super Bowl. You don't have a problem with the call. You have a problem with who the call benefited. I'm tired of hearing it. What say you?
Ndamukong Suh, 0 tackles. Jordan Davis, 0 tackles. Josh Sweat, 1 tackle. Hassan Reddick, 1 tackle. Fletcher Cox, 3 tackles. Those guys are the guys that dominated all season long for the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are the guys on the defensive line that harassed the quarterback to 70-plus sacks this season. They got a whopping 0 sacks yesterday. So kudos to the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line for giving up 0 sacks on their great quarterback. And when you have a great quarterback and he's not sacked, he's going to get you. And he got him. He got him. And that's the bottom line. As far as the penalty is concerned, I personally think that it was ticky-tacky.
Mm-hmm.
I saw stuff that happened earlier in the game. Juju was on a crossing route, kind of got tugged, which was way more egregious than what happened to him on the final possession of the game. I really don't have a problem with it because technically that is a hold. The flag should have come out. Ticky-tacky, absolutely. But as far as us fans out here complaining about officiating, I'll ask you, Kenner, you're the guy that says injuries. That's why this happened. Injuries. This is why that happened. Injuries. Why this happened. The Rams didn't perform this well this season because of injuries. Baker played like crap his 3rd year because of injuries. How come we can't be the same way as fans to point out, hey, this happened because of a questionable call?
So I'm not saying that officials don't have an outcome on a game. My problem is when we say my team can make all the mistakes in the world and that's okay, but the officials can't make mistakes.
Right.
That's where I draw the line and say, hold up, you cannot take the guys that are a part of every week's games that are the least paid. They have the lowest paid human beings walking on that field that play a role in that game. They're the least paid guys. And we're going to hold them to a higher standard than what we do the multimillionaire athletes. Like that's where I come in. I see what you're saying with that as far as that plays a role in the game. Baker's shoulder played a role in the derailment of that season. Having an entire position group taken out because of COVID, that plays a role. The officiating played a role in the rhythm and the flow of that final drive, but that should not have come down. Like the difference between the injury reasons and the officiating excuse, in my opinion, is that it should not come down to that officiating call. If we're going to say that, man, both teams played perfect, no mistakes, absolutely none, and the official mistake is what we're going to highlight, that ain't right to me because there were a lot of mistakes made by the Eagles that entire second half. And by the way, when I say mistakes, I'm not really beating up on the Eagles. Like, you're not going to play perfect. And that's my whole point about all this. We can't expect officials to be perfect. If I can't expect my team or the teams to play perfect, if I can't expect Jalen Hurts to be perfect or anyone else, why are we the only position group on that field that has to be perfect in our eyes is officiating? I don't get that. I do get it because we've been conditioned from the time we're kids. We watch our parents, we watch older adults around us yell and blame the refs and blah, blah, blah. Because to us, the refs are nobodies. They're just some dweebs in a striped shirt. The athletes, man, it should come down to them. Yes and no. The sport does not exist. If all officials went on strike, there would be no high school basketball, no high school football. There'd be no high school baseball. There'd be no college, no pro, nothing. Sometimes I almost wish that all the officials would come together, male and female, and say, we're done. No more officials whatsoever. And we'll watch just how important those guys and gals are on that field. Sorry to take a long-winded answer, but that's kind of my view of it.
So for me, with the officiating and sports in general, when we look at those final plays of the game, those are the, like you talked about, the most high leverage moments. These are the moments. And to be perfectly honest, on that last drive, the thought entered my head. We haven't had it yet.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. It's going to happen because it's been a clean game. There's been a couple delayed games here and there, false start, normal type of stuff that obvious is going to be. There's no like really judgment call. The closest judgment call, like I talked about, like Juju on the crossing route, like basically everything else. I was like, I told my wife, I was like, I think there's going to be a controversial call. I was like, long as they just keep everything in front. I was like, well, that's really not their defense. They play real aggressive man-to-man. So either it's going to be like a double move or somebody's just going to grab somebody. Now, it wasn't a double move. It was like a fake bubble screen or something like that where Juju ultimately got grabbed and they called it. And it happened at obviously the absolute worst time for the Chiefs. I mean, you're out of timeouts. It's third down. Now, once that happened, I was like, that's ball game. Like if it's incomplete, they kick the field goal, you get the ball back with like a minute on the clock and you got a chance to go tie the game or win the game. But it was just nothing they could do once that penalty was on. I basically turned the TV off. I was like, well, that's it. Like, he's not going to miss a 25-yard field goal. And it was a great game. And ultimately, not having a dog in the fight, so to speak, outside of a couple of parlays I put out there, hit on a couple of them, by the way. I had no dog in the fight outside of really rooting for the Eagles. I thought the Eagles were going to win. I was rooting for them just as a fan. But ultimately, it was a great game, man. And that's all we really can ask for. And you're right. Bad calls or questionable calls, they're not going anywhere. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think that the NFL wants them going anywhere. This is going to be talking points all week long. This is going to lead us into the NFL Combine. This is going to lead us into pro days. Like, this is going to be a hot button issue that keeps the NFL top of mind, and they love it. Because ultimately, the situation is it was the right call. I personally think it's ticky-tacky because you can have your hands on a receiver just like the ball can touch the ground and still be ruled a catch. Like, these are those small ticky-tacky things that aren't going anywhere, because the problem, in my opinion, with officiating nowadays, there's too many rules. There's too many things that have to be interpreted from the referees. And once the guy in the top booth says it's going to be a defensive holding, you can cancel Christmas. It's going to be that they're going to throw that flag and you're going to be kicking the field goal for the Kansas City Chiefs to win it.
I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, live on a Monday. Super Bowl 57, the season in the books now. The Kansas City Chiefs, for the second time in 40 years, Super Bowl champions. And, of course, we haven't even gotten to the exact, picking apart the game yet. But the officiating was the main talking point. We're not going to ignore it. We have to talk about it. You heard what we have to say. I want to know what you have to say, because there's some interesting comments coming in on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. And so David Shaw says that I have a problem. And Shaw, I hope your surgery went well. Sounds like, you came through. So that's a good thing. So the surgery went well. But hope the surgery went well, man. But he goes, I have a problem with that call, but that didn't make the Chiefs the winner. It just changed the ending. And I'm tired of the officials making calls at the end of the game that they didn't call all game long. Shaw also said that we can expect officials to be consistent. No, I don't think. I mean, you could expect it all you want. I could expect my bosses to pay me more money. They sure as hell ain't going to do it.
I got a theory on that when we get back from the break.
That's fair. But I bring that up because it's one of those things where your definition of consistent and mine could be two different things. Kev, that's three different things. Everyone's definition of what consistent is, and let's be clear, saying that they didn't call that all game. That's not, there were multiple pass interference calls all game. Were they letting both teams play? Yes. But my question to you guys is this, someone brought this up on the page earlier today. What's a better flow for officiating? Is it letting them play and then tightening it up with the games on the line to make sure you get the calls right? Because, by the way, I feel like we're mad because the villain lost, or the villain won. The Chiefs are the new hated team across the board, right? Like, that's the vibe I'm getting. Patrick Mahomes, his annoying brother, his wife. Oh, God. They're the villain.
Who's more annoying, his brother or his wife?
The brother. Or is it better to have the game called tight all game and then loosen it up as we get closer to the end of regulation? I don't know what the right call is. Now, some will say, call it the same way the whole way. That's not possible. By the way, the reason I brought up the villain thing is because in my eyes, like, if I'm a Chiefs fan and they don't call that,
Right.
That's still bad officiating because that was the right call. So
it's all about your context. It's all about your lens.
So if he doesn't call that, that does have an impact on how the game ends. Because if I'm a Chiefs fan to say, well, because you did a bad job officiating because you chose to swallow the whistle there because someone made an imaginary rule about you don't make that call there, then that's bad officiating that has an impact on the game that benefits the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is why I'm not right. You're not right. Kev's not right. Nobody's right in this situation because at the end of the day, what we want, I don't think could be reached. I don't think we can come to that. But Kev and I will talk about this. We'll get your thoughts. Give us a call. 518-1410. 518-1410. The phone lines are officially open, and I'm curious, how do we get to that point where consistent officiating is reached? I don't think we can get there. Convince me. 518-1410. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast is calling for clear skies and 31 tonight, increasing clouds, 56 for the day tomorrow. Wednesday, it's mostly sunny and windy at a high of 68. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun casual joint, but so much more.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Are you ready for tax season? Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment. Or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
Guys, are you getting up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? As we get older, so do our prostates, and that can mean urinary problems that affect our sleep and quality of life. Life is better outside the bathroom. Real Health's Prostate Complete can help you relieve those annoying and painful prostate symptoms. Available at Walmart or visit realhealth.com for more information and to order yours today. Try it risk-free with our 120-day money-back guarantee. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third-shift dispatcher/customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. One of the most rewarding aspects of our jobs as tax preparers is that we have families that have used our services for generations. Laird's Tax and Accounting is a pioneer in our industry, being the first to offer new services. We stand behind your return if the IRS has questions. We know the tax code and can make the difficult task of making your tax filing easier. Relax. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
Hey, it's Kenner from my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. And if you are a bourbon aficionado, you are going to want to listen up. Black Rock has Black Rock Eagle Rare. It's the bourbon that you have been waiting to try. Why not make it an evening with some great appetizers as well? Or better yet, get with your significant other and celebrate Valentine's this week at Black Rock. You will have all the motivation in the world to try Eagle Rare right at your table. And take it from me, if you have not been there yet, the dining experience at Black Rock is unlike anything else around Dayton or even Southwest Ohio. Steaks, seafood, and other great choices prepared by you at your table on a sizzling volcanic rock. Now, keep in mind, you do not have to prepare your food yourself on that hot volcanic rock right there at your table. But let's be honest, it does make what is an already great experience that much more memorable. Make plans now to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill at Fairfield Commons in Beaver Creek to enjoy lunch, dinner, happy hour, and Black Rock Eagle Rare bourbon. And don't forget to tell your friends. And as always, please drink responsibly.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Deb's constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating kept giving her grief. She talked to her doctor to get some relief. Deb had irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, which was a start. Saying yes to Linzess helped her do her part.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2 years old. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Are you hiring? Then check out Indeed. Schedule virtual interviews and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
And we are back. Justin Kenner, Kev Nash, Kenner and Kev live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Keith Byers, former Philadelphia Eagle, he had his show earlier today. And, you know, there's some days I know when the train's on the track, you get the hell out of the way. Of course,
how'd that go?
What, the train on the track in Ohio? Not very good. Oh, you mean like the analogy. I see. Yeah. You know, he's not happy. He's the only guy I'll let blame the officials. Outside of that, all of y'all, no, but nonetheless, the Eagles fall to the Chiefs. I mean, that was one of those games where it was just all about my money at that point. By the way, right off the bat, bam, bam, hit on a couple. I had anytime. So one parlay was anytime touchdown scores. I needed AJ Brown. I needed Jalen Hurts and Kelsey to all score touchdowns. They all did that in the first quarter. And I think the third, I think it was a little into the second quarter, but either way, the first, about 18 minutes of the game, I had all those. So I spent about $50, wagered $50 of my own money on the day. And I got 43 of it back. So I lost 7 yesterday. And then everything else, Kev, I had $800 worth of bets that I would have hit. Like I thought it was 500. And then I found another one that I didn't know. I forgot about. You have to hit the little arrow button so it drops. Yeah. I don't know why the others are all dropped on FanDuel, and then some you have to have but it didn't matter because every single one of those, Kev, would have equaled an $800 payout for that night if Vontez Scantling would have just caught one pass for 25 yards or more. Oh, I was irate. Like, what the hell? Was he even? I mean, he had a huge game last week. Huge.
Exactly.
He was stepped up huge. So I felt confident, and I could have taken him out of all of those, and I would have been a $400 payout for the day. Man, I just could go back. If I could just go back, see if I can go back in time, I wouldn't fix all the mistakes I make in life. It would have been to fix the guys I included on my parlays. Like that would be what I would fix.
So many parlays I missed out on. The biggest one, I would have turned $1 into $90.
Yep.
Because I had AJ Brown plus 80 yards receiving, got that. Jalen Hurts 2 plus 250 yards passing, got that. Devontae Smith 70 yards receiving plus, got that. Pacheco 60 yards rushing and more, got that. Patrick Mahomes 300 passing yards.
That was a shoo-in. That should have been easy.
Didn't even get over 200 passing yards. And Travis Kelce 90 plus passing yards. He only had like 75. Man, because you know why? Because in that first half, Philadelphia dominated the game with the short passing game. So it was almost supplementing their running game because that running game was non-existent. A couple other parlays I had Miles Sanders scoring a touchdown or even having 50 yards rushing. I'm not even sure he had positive yards rushing at all.
I haven't followed the Eagles all year. I mean, I follow from the fantasy side, from the betting side, but Sanders was their dude. He's a top 5 running back stat wise all season, but he throughout the playoffs was non-existent. I didn't like the Eagles in the playoffs. Was the first time I sat down to watch Eagles games, unless they were on Monday Night Football or something throughout the year. But Sanders was their dude all year. He was not their dude I know we have a couple Eagles fans. I think there's a Han on here that is a Dan Hahn or someone I know in the comment section somewhere. He's an Eagles fan. What happened with Sanders? Why all of a sudden they go away from him? I am curious about that. But we did open the show with reaction to what everyone seems to be locked in on, which is officiating. And there seems to be a pattern. March Madness is coming up. We will be talking.
Ready.
This will not be the last time we talk about
Block
officiating.
charge.
I don't know if I was an official in my previous life or something, but I don't know why. I have never, Kev, blamed officials. I don't like the officiating aspect of games, but we are taught, if you have good coaches when you're young that teach you, you can't do anything about officiating. You can't change the impact. Even if they did have a negative impact, the only thing you can impact is what you can do. Now, I can't do nothing for this Super Bowl, but I know that my team can. So if I am going to waste energy on a group of individuals who made mistakes in a game, we can't just single out one group of people that made mistakes during a game and act like the players didn't have an impact in that whatsoever either. So we're getting some interesting feedback. Sorry, I'm grabbing my charger from my laptop here. This one came in that's interesting here. Sorry, it kind of went away because everything keeps bumping up and down. So people keep bringing up the timing of the call. The timing. I wish the call would not have ended the game. The call, you mean the guy who did the penalty? Bradbury, with the game on the line there, grabbed him. I know it's ticky-tack, but there are ways. Sometimes there's incidental contact as you're running up the sideline trying to break up a pass. Those are the frustrating ones to me because there's clearly not intent of you trying to knock the receiver over. There's clearly you could clearly see if a guy's going it for the ball. Guys, he grabbed him. He grabbed him he admitted as such afterwards. Sirianni, the head coach, afterwards admitted that that was a good, it's annoying. It's a call, you hate calls that do that, but at the end of the day, that was a penalty. We are getting mad. You're accusing officials of being bad officials for calling a penalty, but you don't like the timing of it. Fans are writing their own rules that don't exist in a rule book. If you could find me in a rule book that call should not have been called at that time, I'll say I'm right or I'm wrong and you're right. But you can't. That's a preference because I think we were all what we all wanted, Kev, for such a great game. We feel it was an emotional game. It was a fun game. And we expected, man, now we get to see if Jalen Hurts can get one more. And when Jalen Hurts didn't get the ball back, we got pissed. Yeah. But we got pissed at the wrong people. And I think just because we were robbed of just because we didn't get the experience at the end of the game that we wanted, that doesn't mean that we were robbed of it. That's just, you need to blame Bradbury, or sometimes you don't need to blame anybody. That's just the way that the game flows. Good for the Kansas City Chiefs. Good for them. By the way, and I see Bengals fans chiming in here. The Bengals, talk about the guard for the Eagles jumping off sides constantly all game. Browns fans, I've been watching Bengals. We've been saying the same thing about the Bengals. It always looks on that left side of the line. It always looks like on the right side of the line. It looks like a false start every time. All right, but they're following the rule. It's been talked about all season. It looks like false start every time. Every team does it, not just the Chiefs. I know Roger Goodell was hugging a player afterwards, but we got to stop with this. Bottom line is, I'm just tired of all the officiating talk, but we're leading the circus over here, I guess.
People want officiating like it's Madden.
Yep.
That's what they want, because on Madden, you got your sliders for when you're going to call a holding. They're going to call it. The computer's going to call it. But when you have the human element, it's just not there. You're not going to get every call right. And you ultimately have the human element for a reason, because there's human playing the game. I obviously talked about this in the first segment. I think it was ticky-tacky. A lot of people think it wasn't a call at all. Look, technically it's a call, so call it. And that's just the way it goes. And obviously you talked about, like, quote unquote, Jalen Hurts getting robbed of the opportunity to go drive down the field. That's just clock management. That's clock management on the Kansas City Chiefs part. Like, they got the ball, they drove the length of the field, 3rd and 8. Then they get the penalty. Now Philadelphia doesn't have any more timeouts because they burned them all. Now we're just about to run out the clock. And, I believe it was McKendrick. I think he was running around left end, and he slid before going into the end zone to continue to burn the clock. Because if it was scored, it would have gave the ball back to the Eagles with a minute left. You, as a Cleveland Browns fan, know exactly what that's like.
I'm giving you this finger. I want to give you the other one, but I'm giving you the thumbs up.
Where Nick Chubb was like kind of in no man's land. He wanted to fall, but he ultimately fell in the end zone, giving the ball back to the Jets, and then the Jets come back from behind to win. Look, man, calls are just bad. I'm a person that these calls really don't make me mad. It makes me mad because, like, I was rooting for the Eagles, and I really like Jalen Hurts, and I wanted him to get this moment and get this opportunity to, really silence the critics or whatever. But bad calls, that's what I have a problem with. That wasn't a bad call. That's just a ticky-tacky call that had to be called because he grabbed him.
Was there a bad call?
No. I think when you talk about a clean game, like from the referees, I think that's as clean as you're going to get. That's as clean as you're going to get. Like, you're not going to get a situation where every fan base is happy with the outcome, because if it's not called, the Kansas City Chiefs people would have been open arms left and right. So it's kind of is what it is. I think he did the right thing by kind of like grabbing him, because if he didn't grab him, well, maybe not. Maybe if he didn't grab him, Juju catches it and scores a touchdown and they get the ball back. But it kind of goes like that, man.
So, and this is another line I get a lot. I'm getting a lot of this feedback. Give us a call, by the way, 518-1410. We're good. I know we know who's on hold at this point, Kev. But so I get this a lot. Nick on YouTube. What up, Nick? He goes, call the game consistent. There were far obvious other defensive holdings in the game, 0 holding call. But like that's what I'm talking about, Nick. There's holding on every play. There is probably pass interference almost on every play. I mean, you can't tell me that there's not pass interference almost on every play. That's why I've joked before. I'm like, if I'm a coach, which I'm not, that's why I'm behind this mic, making all this money. I would just drop back. You get 4 downs? I would throw 4 straight Hail Marys. There's no way in hell that there is not a pass interference on one of those 4 Hail Mary attempts. There's just no way. So I think stop asking for something you don't even know what you're asking for. We want more consistent. By the way, if the team that you hated did not win last night, you wouldn't be as outraged by this. If officiating worked if that call impacted the Chiefs to lose that game last night, I'd say 90% of you, because most of you are Bengals fans, would be happy with the outcome of the game, because you're just mad. You're not mad at the call. You're mad at who the call benefited. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this comes down to. Kev, you could just feel the hate watching, right?
Of course.
Most of our listeners, the reason they tune in is because they like Kev, but they're also hate listening to me. Like, that's it. Hate watching. By the way, the reason I can call you guys out for it is because I know what it looks like, because guess what I do every GD weekend, right? I hate watch the Bengals. I hate watch the Cincinnati Bengals, just like you hate watch the Browns, just like you were hate watching the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. That's why when the guy got hurt, I thought y'all learned your lesson during the Hamlin thing, but no, all y'all just piled on Mr. Patrick Mahomes when he was hurt. Y'all enjoyed that he was hurt, even though some of y'all said he wasn't hurt. Oh, stop with that mess. Like, I don't want to hear that. So at the end of the day, y'all hate watched the Chiefs. You poked the bear all season, and then when they finally bit back, now you hate them and you can't stand them, yada, yada, yada. The bottom line is you don't have a problem with officiating. You have a problem with the call that benefited the team that you hate. Bottom line. Because if it was, and I've said this before, Kev, if it was Joe Burrow on that same yard line, he drops back. T. Higgins is held by Bradbury. and they throw that flag, you're happy. You're pleased. And if they don't call that there, guess who's upset? You guys. You wouldn't be screaming and clamoring for consistent officiating. It's adorable. You guys keep bringing that up because some of y'all believe when you bring up consistent officiating, like Kev. Others, I don't, because I think you guys it's coming from an evil place. I think you're trying to gaslight me and everyone. We just want consistent officiating. No, you don't. Because if that consistent officiating impacted your team, guess what you're going to say? It's a bad call. Like when Osai pushed Patrick Mahomes out of bounds.
So how about this?
My goodness.
How about this? They want consistent officiating when they don't have a rooting interest.
Yes, of course. Just admit that at least. I mean,
I'm real. I want all the calls to benefit my teams.
Andrew Robbins says, is there ever a time you're not trying to pull this back to the Bengals so much? Why are you obsessed with them? LOL. Andrew, but it does go back to the Bengals because that's who our listeners are. It's all, I mean, y'all remind me all season, we hate the Browns because we're all Bengals fans. So it does come back to that. By the way, as a local radio host, you do take national storylines and you localize them. You bring them back to how it impacts your local teams. So you may think that that's a tactic, that it's like an evil tactic. It's not. That's how you do a local radio show. You bring it back to how your local teams are impacted. If there's bad officiating in a big, like Duke and Virginia Tech or Duke and Virginia or whatever, if there was a similar call in a Dayton game, I would say, hey, man, we saw something similar for the Flyers over the weekend and tie it in locally. That's what you do. But at the same time, if you don't think that the Bengals that there's an overlap of the Bengals fans invested into the Super Bowl, if you can't see that, I don't know what else to tell you. You could not like me for that, but I don't think I'm trying too hard with that. I mean, it's very obvious. Like, for instance, I don't, and by the way, this could go for any fan base, Steelers fans. Again, if the Steelers benefited from that call last night, no one, including you, is saying, man, that's a bad call.
Touchdown.
Yeah. As a Browns fan, I'm probably like, man, that was an awesome call. I'm glad that they're holding their feet to the fire. If it was against my team, I'd be angry too. But I've also shown, the reason I'm credible here, and Kev could vouch for this, I've also shown my team has been screwed over by bad calls before, but I come in the next day and then I point out, oh yeah, my defense also let Chad Henne hold onto the ball for 8 straight minutes in the divisional round a couple years ago, and I made it about that. So I feel like I'm credible to show that I've had opportunities to blame refs and I haven't done it in the past.
Don't want to derail the NFL talk, but is this the first time we've ever seen a questionable call go against Duke?
Oh, with that?
Yeah.
You mean, I think we're learning questionable calls never went against Duke. They just never went against Coach K.
Aha.
So there's that.
The conspiracy, conspiracy.
So Nick says, we have too much technology for calls to be wrong on the field in the biggest games. That doesn't make sense, Nick. That you're arguing something that doesn't make sense. He didn't get it wrong. He didn't get it wrong. That was, the player admitted it. The coach admitted it. I mean, it was the right call. I think we as fans are selfish. We're mad because we had the opportunity to watch an exciting game-winning drive or game-tying drive to force overtime. I don't know about you. I didn't want that game to end. It was a fun game. Both quarterbacks. I'm a Jalen Hurts believer now. I'm all in on Jalen Hurts. That game was fantastic from him. I didn't want that game to end. I was kind of bummed. I looked around and by the way, when the game ended, it was just kind of like oh wow, it's over. It was an exciting game and an anticlimactic finish.
Exactly. Because I think everybody knew once that penalty was called, that was game. And we kind of all knew what was going to happen. It was going to end with a short kick. If things are going to end with a kick, we want it to be like a 45-yarder, something like, oh, man, the stakes are high. Is he going to make it? Is he going to miss it? That, he's not missing that. He's just not. He's just not going to miss it. I mean, the only way he misses that is if, hey, man, the field is slick, and we're definitely going to get to that. He slips and falls, or somebody from the Eagles blocks it. If he plants his foot right, he's going to make that kick. And once that penalty was called, everybody knew, oh, this game's over.
Yep. Everyone, it sucked the energy out of the entire. Yeah.
Eat your last slice of pizza, brush your teeth, go to bed.
I'm glad you repeated that because I heard something else when you said eat your last. I didn't know what you just said. I'm like, what did you just say? My God. That was the most grossed out I've been since watching the halftime show. Just joking.
Bad girl Riri.
We'll talk about that coming around. That's the most controversial thing of the night, right? Like, I mean, it's always the halftime show. No, nonetheless. I see Packers fan Tim, Mike, and Eric. I promise you are first priority when we come back. Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Want to know how you can satisfy every comfort food craving? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and try a home-style bowl for only $4.59. You'll get a bowl of our mashed potatoes with fresh strip bites, corn, and gravy, all topped off with shredded cheddar cheese to create a truly unbeatable bowl. Get your every wish in one hearty, craveable dish when you try a home-style bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for only $4.59. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Guys, are you getting up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? As we get older, so do our prostates, and that can mean urinary problems that affect our sleep and quality of life. Life is better outside the bathroom. Real Health's Prostate Complete can help you relieve those annoying and painful prostate symptoms. Available at Walmart or visit realhealth.com for more information and to order yours today. Try it risk-free with our 120-day money-back guarantee. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
The Flowerman here with our annual Valentine's Day tradition. A dozen roses for $12.99. That's incredible. A dozen roses, only $12.99. So beautiful. I'm starting to tear up. A dozen roses for Valentine's, only $12.99. Go to flowermanflowers.com. That's flowermanflowers.com.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Dancing crew, trip for 2.
Nailed the final interview. Game with Doug. Brand new mug. Come here, kid. Give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. New COVID-19 boosters designed for recent Omicron variants are now available. Learn about eligibility and schedule a free updated booster today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows that Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
It's Valentine's Day. Let your sweetheart know how much you love them by surprising them with Esther Price candies. It's the sweetest way to say be mine with their heart boxes of all varieties and sizes. Customized with your favorite chocolates or the traditional gold box of your sweetheart's favorites. Their delicious chocolate-covered strawberries are back for a limited time starting Friday through Valentine's Day at all locations. So stop in and get a box. If you are not able to get out and want to send your Valentine your love, shop online at EstherPrice.com.
Mattress Firm's President's Day sale is here. Get a king bed for a queen price and save up to $700 on select mattresses from top brands.
Kansas City Chiefs bring home the Super Bowl trophy yesterday, of course, and they knock off the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl 57. And, of course, because this is just how we operate, Pro Football Focus already released that via MGM, that the Chiefs are already plus 600 as the favorites to be Super Bowl 38 champions next year as well.
Just
of course
like
they are.
that.
We did our a cap or no cap the other day about, I threw out there, this will be the last that we ever see either of these two quarterbacks back in the Super Bowl again as Jalen Hurts embarks on his big contract. It was kind of this was supposed to be not a rebuilding year, but a retooling year for the Chiefs moving on. They went down the list, and I don't have the list in front of me, so I hate bringing it up when I don't have all the players, but there was like 9 players that the Chiefs moved on from on both sides of the ball total. Like, I know we see Mahomes and we see Kelsey and we think that everything else is fine, but I'm not saying what the Bengals have, I don't know what the Bengals approach is going to be moving forward. And it's always a copycat league, Kev, but it is interesting that the formula for the Chiefs is, and by the way, you talked about that Philadelphia Eagles defense. They had 78 sacks heading into that Super Bowl. 0 sacks yesterday. 0.
Goose egg.
And while the Bengals continue to half-ass invest in their offensive line, and they're about to go full throttle invest into their weapons, while watching the Chiefs invest into their quarterback, offensive line, they have, of course, Travis Kelce, who is he's not paid like a top tight end in football. It just is fascinating to me as far as that's concerned. But, that's what's, wild about all that. But they didn't invest heavily into all of their weapons. They gave him, so like Jamar Chase would be the weapon of choice for Joe Burrow, like Kelsey was for Mahomes. There's part of me that wonders, like, was Mahomes involved in that decision of, okay, Kelsey or Hill? Like, we'll invest into one of them. We can't invest to both. So, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do this, but I do wonder, if you look at how the Chiefs have kind of put this together, that defense isn't the best in the NFL. Just like the Bengals isn't the best in the NFL, but it's more than serviceable. And that offensive line was just fantastic yesterday. And I can't say enough about just how important that is. That's why the Bengals making it to the Super Bowl last year was kind of just that's what shocked everybody, Kev. That was more of a surprise than anything. How can a quarterback sack 78 times last year, 79 or whatever it was, or 70, whatever the total number was,
a lot,
get to the Super Bowl? So nonetheless, it's going to be interesting. But the Chiefs, you can't count them out because they were supposed to be counted out this year. And I know Kelsey did. What is the obsession with these players? Good for these coaches. They're the ultimate salespeople. They've convinced Kelsey, too, that everyone counted them out. I know a lot of people, it's 50-50. Like, you do look at the split and the bets that came in. It was 50-50, Chiefs-Eagles. But it's 50-50. It wasn't 98 to 2%. 98% of all bettors and doubters out there thought the Chiefs had no chance of winning.
I'm glad you brought that up. So, I run the Facebook pages for the stations. And people that don't know, we have 5 radio stations in our building. So, basically, yesterday is a copy and paste job. I asked the same questions on all the stations. So, all 5 stations, hey, big game tonight. Who you got? Give me some score predictions. I would say 90% of every station in our building picked the Eagles.
Okay, maybe they did. Maybe Kelsey was talking about Alpha Media and Dayton.
So when I saw that, I got alarmed. But then I started talking to friends via text, like, all right, man, kick off in about an hour. Let's get it on wax. Let's see who you got. More people were picking Kansas City Chiefs. Some, I listened to Bomani Jones' podcast. He picked the Chiefs. So, further I spread my scope and range about who I was asking who was going to win and kind of got more to 50-50. And be clear, the Eagles are only favored by 1.5, and Kansas City only won by 3 points. So the whole doubting them and you guys are counted out, you guys don't stand a chance versus Philadelphia, that's selling by coaches. The only person that I know for sure that counted Kansas City Chiefs out was Bart Scott. He said they wouldn't make the playoffs. He said that in August.
Can't wait. I love that line. Every time, I don't know why, but every time my wife tells me we have to go do something I don't want to do, I'm always as smart as can't wait. Like I said, just like Bart Scott, can't wait. Is what it is. But great Super Bowl, great game. And we're witnessing greatness right now with Patrick Mahomes. And I enjoy all the hateful banter between the fan base of Cincinnati, which, by the way, I'm not singling you guys out. It's what I do to you guys. It's a rival fan base. That's why when people get mad at me for the way I act about the Bengals, this is what fans do. I said when I first started doing sports talk, I'm not a Colin Cowherd. I am not those guys are celebrity sports talk. I'm a fan that's fortunate to have a mic in front of me. So my favorite thing about being a sports fan is the banter back and forth. It is the going back and forth about your teams and stuff. And I wanted to bring that to the airwaves in a more controlled way, of course. But that's the fun of this. And, that I already can't wait for next season. I hate that it's the off season.
Man, it's going to be a long off season. You talked about it before. Yeah. No first round picks for your Cleveland Browns. The Bengals drafting late in the first round. It's going to be a long offseason. But we do have a quarterback from The Ohio State University that should go in the top 5.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. You think it's going to be a long offseason for us. I can't tell you how long of an offseason it might be for the team and the fan of our next caller. We got Packers fan Tim. Your offseason is kind of, you got to wait a couple more days in the dark, it sounds like. But what up, Tim?
That's no problem. I don't know why people get upset about that. I don't care how much time Rodgers takes. But, I want to talk a little bit about refereeing. But first, I'm pretty dispassionate about that Super Bowl because I would have been happy if the Chiefs won because of Joe Tooney. Some of his siblings went to school with some of my kids, and they were teammates and classmates. His dad, our family doctor. So I'd be happy for that. My son-in-law's from Philly. We went to their house for the party. They had authentic Philly cheesesteaks, and he had my little granddaughters wearing Eagle shirts, and so was my daughter, who's a lifelong Packer fan. But we had the street vendor, Philly pretzel. So, I'm going to be happy. And I love Jalen Hurts. I think that guy should be the face of the NFL. He's just the classiest guy in the world. But so now I'm going to talk about the refereeing. I thought it was one of the best officiated games of all the playoffs. I do understand people being upset with that call. And I do think they need to be more consistent, and they also need to be better. And it could be simply done. Since we talked about refereeing a few weeks ago, one time I called in, I did a little research. And it appears to me, now my research, I didn't get it directly from the NFL, and I got it from online sources, so maybe it's wrong. But these guys start about $85,000 and get some expenses. The higher paid vets, they get a couple $100,000 a year. Now, this is for a side hustle. I would rather pay those guys more. Those players put too much. Us fans, of course, we get worked up and stuff, but the players deserve the very, very best. And if those guys put in that much work and time, why don't they pay referees? Start them at $200,000, and then they go up to $500,000 or more. Have them work all week. They're in Zoom meetings. They're reviewing tape of all the games, just like the coaches and the players have to do. Make it a 40-hour-a-week job, not a 5-hour-a-week job, and pay them more money. And then after the end of, give them all 3-year contracts. At the end of 3 years, if every GM got one vote and every head coach got one vote, that's 64 people that decide if you get your contract renewed. I think that would improve refereeing a lot. So I'm not saying this to knock the referees, but hey, a side hustle, this is too important stuff. There's too much on the line. They expect too much out of the players. So I think that's a way you would get not just more consistent, but you'd get better refereeing. They should be held to a higher standard, like these players. These players can get cut. I mean, these referees, it's, hey, one other thing though. Some time ago, a few months, we had a conversation about special teams and defense and, winning championships. If Kadarius Toney, special teams, doesn't get that 65-yard punt return, Chiefs aren't winning that game. If that stud Bolton doesn't get that sack, scoop, and score, that's a different ball game. They're driving down the field. You think they're going to score again? He does that. He almost had 2 of them. So I'm not saying take anything away from Mahomes in the offense and the weapons. But you've got to have every Super Bowl, man. You've got somebody on special teams making big play, whether it's, in defense, defensive score, some key sacks at the end of the game, like, Donald was doing to the Bengals last year. It wasn't just Cooper Kupp, man. You got to have some big time defensive plays and some big time special team plays to win the Super Bowl. So it's been a fun season, you guys. Talking to you. I'm not much into basketball, but I'll listen when you're talking about UD.
Sounds like a plan. There's a lot about UD to talk about. Me and old Deron Holmes are friends now, so now I got to be all nice. I got to be nice about the old Flyers, which is totally fine. Now, a lot of big Deron Holmes fans in town. I'm probably the biggest now, so there's that. But hey, always appreciate hearing from you, my friend. Thank you so much for the call.
Oh, thank you for the show, you guys.
Good stuff there. Packers fan Tim, I agree with everything that he just said. I think that if our anger is going to go towards the officiating, it should go more towards the NFL for the officiating setup. This is why I went on with Nathan Edwards and Elise Coulter this morning on Dayton 24/7 Now, and that was my point about we hold the officials to a high standard when they're the lowest paid employees on the field. As big as these games are, they are the lowest paid employees walking up and down those sidelines. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe you find a couple others, but you see my point. The bottom line is, if all the people that play a huge role in these games, they're paid the very least amount, but yet we hold them to a higher standard than the multi-million-dollar offensive linemen and the defensive backs and the quarterbacks and the coaches, and that drives me nuts. It's like we as fans, by the way, it's not like we as fans don't know how to bash our own players. We do it all the time. Like this idea that, well, no one's going to boo their own team. We do it all the time. The Bengals booed their team off the field multiple times this year because they're a horrible fan base. I'm telling you, I watched it happen. No, but yeah, we'll see. But
yeah, he made a ton of great points. The biggest thing to take away is full-time employees for referees. We both work at this here radio station. We wouldn't let part-time employees have such a big role in a major event that we're having.
Yep.
We would be heavily involved because we work here every single day, all day, every day. So that's the importance of having full-time employees, to have them involved every single day. And like he talked about, like refereeing meetings weekly or monthly, as opposed to like, all right, you're a lawyer Monday through Friday, and then on Sunday you're an NFL referee, like, and just fly in for the game and then just go back home to your normal life. Like, let's get some more interaction going on. Let's get some training year round for this, because these are high stake games.
National anthem, halftime show, commercials, all the fun stuff that are, on the outside of the game. Curious people's thought those are always like a major talking point, and those range from that was horrible to I loved it to so oh god that was horrible to I loved it to that's our scale that we're working with. So god that was horrible, I loved it, That's what I want to hear from y'all. What did y'all think about the commercials? What did y'all think about the national anthem? Chris Stapleton's a freaking boss, by the way. Rihanna, I thought, did a fantastic job of the halftime show. We'll talk about thoughts on that as well. All that fun stuff. We'll get to that when we come back. The officiating stuff. Let's just agree. Y'all are never going to convince me that officials cost teams games. Teams cost themselves games with their mistakes that they can control. You can't control officials, but what you can do is control your ability to grab a wide receiver. There you go. We'll be right back. Hour 2 next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hi, Greg McAfee here from McAfee Heating and Air. Inflation is hurting families. Gas and food prices continue to soar, but skilled trade jobs are paying at an all-time high rate. Why keep working for less? If you are experienced in HVAC, have a great attitude, love serving people, and enjoy working hard, apply today at mcair.com. That's mcair.com.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
It's time to think about your tax refund. And Jackson Hewitt wants you to think biggest. As in, we guarantee you'll get your biggest refund or your money back plus $100. Who offers that? Come to think of it, nobody. It's one of the biggest guarantees out there and why you can't just file with anybody. For your guaranteed biggest refund, go to Jackson Hewitt today. Your wallet will thank you. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
Dell Technologies President's Day business sale starts now with savings on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast is calling for clear skies and 31 tonight, increasing clouds, 56 for the day tomorrow. Wednesday, it's mostly sunny and windy and a high of 68. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service at 730 South Patterson in Dayton, where they treat every vehicle like their own and every customer like family. Online at c-wtire.com.
Hey, it's Kenner from my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. And if you are a bourbon aficionado, you are going to want to listen up. Black Rock has Black Rock Eagle Rare. It's the bourbon that you have been waiting to try. Why not make it an evening with some great appetizers as well? Or better yet, get with your significant other and celebrate Valentine's this week at Black Rock. You will have all the motivation in the world to try Eagle Rare right at your table. And take it from me, if you have not been there yet, the dining experience at Black Rock is unlike anything else around Dayton or even Southwest Ohio. Steaks, seafood, and other great choices prepared by you at your table on a sizzling volcanic rock. Now, keep in mind, you do not have to prepare your food yourself on that hot volcanic rock right there at your table. But let's be honest, it does make what is an already great experience that much more memorable. Make plans now to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill at Fairfield Commons in Beaver Creek to enjoy lunch, dinner, happy hour, and Black Rock Eagle Rare bourbon. And don't forget to tell your friends. And as always, please drink responsibly.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Dayton area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431. Online at CordellCordell.com.
And now a small business setback. Set to smooth jazz.
It's late. You're driving in the rain with only one thing on your mind. The deer about to total your HVAC van. But with Progressive's 30-plus customizable coverage options, you're covered. The rest is just saxophone.
When running your small business gets rough, Progressive Commercial is there to smooth it out. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Twinkly sound.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
It's coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Kenner and Cav back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. David Shaw says, can we talk about the game? Can we talk about how the game saved Sunday? The game was fantastic. The halftime show was meh. Tired of the 4-hour pregame show. And the commercials sucked. Oh, man, Shaw, when they opened you up, they apparently didn't fix your attitude. My God. No, I agree and disagree with some things on that. If it wasn't for the game, Super Bowl Sunday would have been really bad. There's a couple suggestions. Don't like the pregame. If it's 4 hours, just watch the hour leading up to it, or don't watch the pregame. I didn't watch any of the pregame stuff.
Me neither.
Oh, my wife made me watch the Puppy Bowl.
Whoa.
And then I have to admit, I thought it was kind of cute. I kind of liked the dogs. The puppies are I wanted to adopt all of them. There was a dog from the Humane Society here in Dayton.
Oh, would you look at that?
But I'm not doing them any justice because I don't remember the name. I think all these dogs have been adopted already anyways. But I thought that was pretty cool. But, yeah, the old wife, because we're going to watch the Puppy Bowl. I'm like, can't wait. Remember I told you earlier. Every time she makes me do something I don't want, can't wait. Wasn't that bad. But, yeah, don't watch. I mean, look, that there's every dollar in the world. Every football is all predicated around this game. The TV network deals are all predicated around. They're buying, for one, yes, the ratings that come with the full season, but they're buying this for their chance to be able to host the Super Bowl because the amount of ad money for that is just stupid. It's ridiculous. It was cool. There was some local businesses here in the Miami Valley that actually purchased some national spots. I know Submarine House was one. I thought that was pretty cool. That was a national spot, so that's pretty cool seeing that. But nonetheless, so with that being said, yes, it's a whole day. Oh, let me tell you this. I learned this yesterday. Talked about this on Keith Byers' show earlier today. There are certain days I don't like to leave the house. The day before Christmas Eve, I like to go to the store for anything. That's a nightmare. That is hell. Don't do it. Don't do it. The day before Thanksgiving, Kroger, grocery stores. And by the way, I'm not bashing those grocery stores, but it's us. I'm bashing us as people because we all wait to the last minute to go get our last minute, fixins and all that stuff. So it's just miserable to go to. Well, I laugh when people say the Super Bowl. We should get, by the way, I do think it's kind of weird to take school off for the Super Bowl. In fact, if anything, their primetime Super Bowl game kicks off way earlier than the Sunday night football games that everyone stays up for. So there's that. But calling it a holiday. It's a holiday. Because I went to Kroger yesterday to go get some stuff to make some quick buffalo chicken dip. And my goodness, I was miserable from the time I walked in to the time I left. And it was all couples, and they all looked miserable. And you know what? They all had the facial expression of, we want to go to this party, but we got to bring something. That's the vibe you get the entire time. But Kev, yeah, I'm officially adding the day of the Super Bowl as the day you do not want to go to the stores. Day before Christmas Eve, the day before Thanksgiving, and Super Bowl Sunday, stay away from stores at all costs. Unbelievable. By the way, like shelves, like the chips, empty. it reminded me, it took me back to the toilet paper in COVID. Like, that's what some of the grocery stores, there was not a bag of chips left. It was unbelievable.
You're right, because I had to make a grocery store run because the wife, she went to pick up all our food on Thursday. Smart. But I forgot carrots and celery. I was like, oh, looks like we're not going to have carrots and celery. Can you go pick up some? So I had to go. And she made me FaceTime her from there because she's a person that doesn't like things that are picked over. She's very particular about things that she buys. So I had to go pick it up, FaceTime her in there, then wait in line, then come home. But, Shaw talked about the 4-hour pre-games. I watched The Last of Us, great show that comes on HBO, and the newest episode of Your Honor to pass the time. So that's
there's a new episode out. There is.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing tonight.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing tonight.
Very, very good.
Is Salamanca? Zip.
I'm not. No spoilers.
So
no spoilers. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
So that takes me to. Salamanca, but Tuco.
Yes.
Tight. We got to see Tuco, Breaking Bad, the Poppables commercial.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
It was good. It was funny. It's always good to see Walter White and Jesse Pinkman back on screen.
So the commercials, I haven't been flat. Like, the commercials have not flattered me for many, many years. Like, especially because a lot of these companies that are investing millions into these commercials anyways, they're doing the pre-promotion of the commercials. Like, it used to be surprised by it. I kind of don't like that. I followed Bryan Cranston and all these guys. Like, I kind of knew this was coming. So it wasn't cool. What I would have loved was to be sitting back, watching and out of nowhere, there's Bryan Cranston and Breaking Bad popping up. That would have been cool. It's the one thing I miss about really before the social media era really started taking over. The pre-promotion of the Super Bowl commercials, the surprise element of those really was my favorite thing. But I thought, because I was expecting it, and I happened to be out of the room, by the way, when it kicked on, ticked me off, but whatever. I don't like that they pre-promote some of these commercials. I do think that takes away some of the surprise elements of it. The one, was it that Fubi TV or Fuji TV, whatever?
Tubi,
Fuji, Fubi, whatever. But we were all laughing. We're like, we were all joking. The group I was with were like, we guarantee all of our parents were like freaking out. Like, oh God, we sat on the remote. Holy, but that one got us. That was pretty cool. But outside of that, the commercials are okay. I don't know. I don't remember the last one that I thought was really yeah.
So do movie trailers count as commercials to you?
No, but it's good for me. No, like, I like the creativity of a business coming up with a commercial. However, I do think it's cool that a lot of these movies are using the Super Bowl to debut the release of their first official trailer. So, but like, I know Fast and Furious, that was that. I've never watched any of those movies, but I know you got to stop giving me that look every time. Like, how many times?
It's 10 of them. You ain't seen none of them. I stopped watching them after Paul Walker passed away. The last one he was in, that's the last one I saw. So whichever number that one was, that's the last one I saw. But for me, the Flash trailer was awesome. They're gonna have Michael Keaton's in it as Batman again. That's the Batman that I grew up on. I'm sure you have no idea who that is.
I know who Michael Keaton is, but I know Batman.
He played Batman in like
I watched the one with the joke. Oh no, is it the I'm Batman? That one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fake. That's forced. That's not fake, but it's too forced.
That's the OG. That's the one I grew up on.
But nostalgia works. Nostalgia always works.
Yes, that trailer looks awesome. But my favorite commercial of the night was the Jack Harlow and Elton John Doritos commercial, where they're playing the triangle, and he like wins it. Elton John ultimately wins the award instead of Jack Harlow. That was my favorite commercial.
Let's see. So Dylan Shaver says the Blue Moon commercial was the only one that actually made me laugh. I think I know which one you're talking about. Andrew Robbins says none of the commercials were that good. Yeah, and maybe it's like a demographic thing. I don't know. I just feel like for me, nothing hit for me. But to be fair, you're with a bunch of friends. We're talking. We're not paying attention necessarily, that hard to that as far as that's concerned. Keith Tolliver says no pregame. He watched hoops instead. The announcers were okay. Riri was banger after banger. Game was good overall. Like Cube said today, was a good day.
Hey.
So, Rihanna halftime show, thought it was okay. The coolest part about it to me, and I didn't like it at the beginning because I thought something was off. It made sense at the end because she's pregnant, but at the beginning, I'm like, she's dancing weird.
Do something.
I've seen her before, and I'm like, she's a hell of a dancer. Like, she could do like those routines. Like, And she was just very generic and very bland. I'm like, this seems very weird. I don't know really what's going on. But then at the end, it makes sense. She can barely move. I know what that's like. I have a big old boiler right now, too. Let's just be clear. But what made her performance so dang cool, whether you like the music or not, is she owned that damn thing by herself. There was no surprise. Like, she didn't share the stage with another act to take some of the time. She sang from beginning to end.
Yeah.
She was by her. Yeah, I know all the dancers, but like, she was it. She was the main attraction. And then it was cool because as she got like that lift raised, all the dancers went away and it was just her. Like, you know how like that had to be like the most amazing feeling, being propped up there by yourself, not one dancer around you. You have the whole Super Bowl stadium just looking at you. Overall, I thought it wasn't a top 5 performance. It definitely wasn't a bad performance. It was okay. I thought it was going to be tough to top what happened last year.
Yeah.
I think this was a tough Super Bowl halftime show to do after last year's. But at the same time, I thought she did a good job. It is what it is. I didn't realize like how many bangers she had according to the last guy. So there was that.
Yeah, it was a
ton.
ton.
I was disappointed. I wanted Kanye to come out. I'm like, they're gonna bring out Kanye. You know, Kanye, he's the kind of guy that like she was being lifted up. I thought he was gonna come down, but I thought he would just
I can't front. I was mad that there were no surprise appearances because you talk about how many hit records she has. Obviously, she has hit records with Kanye West. She has multiple hit records with Jay-Z, Juicy J, Lil Wayne. She has a ton of hit records that she performed last night with people that could have came out and surprised the audience. But to your point about her being on that levitated stage, so it starts obviously with the close-up of her face. And then it goes into song. And first thing my wife says, like, is she pregnant or is she still carrying, weight from, the baby that she had back in May? I was like, there's no way she's pregnant on that. Like, she's in the middle of the air. Like, come on. Like, she's pregnant. She wouldn't be up there if she was pregnant. But more and more she performed and more like the jacket came off and everything like that. I was like, oh, she's not only is she pregnant, she's like 6 months pregnant. Like she's
about to pop.
Yeah, she's about to go. Like, so man,
they had a bucket underneath her. Just
ready to
too
catch.
far.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it was she was up there dancing like a pregnant woman. That's what it was.
That's what people tell me I dance like. So can you dance and look like a pregnant woman? So there's that. So but nonetheless, John Harvey, by the way, says FYI, the Keaton Batman is the GOAT Batman. All the rest are pretenders.
I would say the GOAT would be the Batman, the Nolan trilogy was the GOAT, but that is Michael Keaton is the one I grew up on. So it's always gonna have a special place in my heart, even though I actually had this argument with my brother when, if people are not aware, the actor that plays the Flash in these movies for DC, got into a lot of trouble, like domestic violence and drinking and driving and stuff like that. And they were talking about canceling the movie or just putting it out strictly on streaming platforms. And it was so many rumors out there floating about this. I kept telling my brother, they are putting this movie in theaters. No, they can't. That trailer dropped. He called me immediately like, I see why they're putting it in theaters. They put Michael Keaton in here. They put the OG Batman in here. They weren't wasting this on HBO Max. They got to put this in theaters to make their money back.
They got to figure out a way somehow.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll watch this one. All right. So again, the halftime show, obviously the commercials, the national anthem. I love Chris Stapleton. I think he's awesome. I thought his rendition of it was awesome. I put it second to Whitney Houston. I'm all about Chris Stapleton.
All the way up to 2.
Chris Stapleton's my favorite right now. So there's that. It had all the Yellowstone vibes to it. So
that is your show.
There you go. All right, Kenner and Cav with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Appreciate all the interaction on the social media side of things. Everyone's thoughts on what kind of went down yesterday. All right, we talked about the officiating. We talked about all the pre, half, and post-game festivities that kind of go into the game. But Patrick Mahomes, 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 regular season MVP. I mean, we've talked about it. I mean, this guy has just had one hell of a start. I mean, yesterday, we talked about the fact that, okay, yes, from a legacy standpoint, I mean, he obviously separated himself from pretty much everyone else in the league. But I thought that the quarterback that did more for his status than Patrick Mahomes, I think Jalen Hurts did more for himself than Patrick did for his yesterday. And I'll tell you why when we come back. Kenner and Cav, 1410 ESPN Radio.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. Payroll doesn't seem that hard. It's just pay rate times hours worked, right? Sounds easy enough. Well, payroll is easy as long as each employee's tax withholdings are properly set up and as long as you don't shoot yourself in the foot along the way. But payroll can be punishing for business owners like me who will assemble their kids' toys without reading the instructions first. We don't need to read instructions unless we're desperate. That's why Patriot Software offers payroll setup and support for free for businesses with up to 100 employees. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. Consider STP Conventional High Mileage to save on motor oil for your everyday vehicle. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP oil filter for only $26.99. Do the complete job for the right price. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain like Heather?
I have terrible arthritis and have had it for quite a while. And I've gone to all kinds of doctors trying to figure out what to do. And everybody just said surgery. And surgery was months of rehab. And I didn't want to do that.
But then Heather discovered QC Kinetics, local medical professionals who specialize in natural biologic treatments, non-invasive solutions designed to repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. And she absolutely loves the results.
I like to tell anybody who's suffering that there are options that are not steroids, that are not surgery. You owe it to yourself to find out about QC Kinetics and find out what they can do for you.
No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Discover QC Kinetics and learn more about natural biologic treatments with lasting results.
Call QC Kinetics 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. Don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics 937-936-0325.
Need an online notary? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. We can notarize your documents remotely at no charge to you. All you need is a smartphone or laptop. Visit courthouse2u.com for more info.
Want to make tonight's dinner a perfect 10? Swing by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped premium tenderloins, 3 dipping sauces, 2 of our irresistible large sides, and 5 fluffy biscuits, it's family time made from scratch. Take home a top-notch dinner the whole family will love from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with our 10-piece strips meal for only $24.99. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is a firm that practices family law exclusively. We focus on only one area of the law to maximize our strength and effectiveness as advocates for clients that have everything on the line: their homes, retirement, savings, and most importantly, their children. We're the partner our clients count on. If we can be of help to you, give us a call.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Kevin Nash will be back with us here in just a moment. We are live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Head to Facebook. Everybody has Facebook. That's where we, of course, post the majority, if not all, of our content. You can watch the show daily from 3 to 6. We really appreciate it. If you really want to help us out, if you have a YouTube account, please subscribe to our ESPN Dayton YouTube channel. That's where we post all of our shows in their entirety, select segments, and all interviews like Keyshawn Johnson last week, of course, Jay Williams, Max Kellerman. We have ESPN's Mark Adams coming in studio tomorrow. We'll be talking all things Dayton Flyers, Wright State, Ohio State college basketball. I can't believe we're already at that time of the season. Can't believe we just wrapped up the NFL portion of the season yesterday. Super Bowl 57 in the books, 38-35. Chiefs over the Eagles. So that's where, we're talking a lot of that today. I want to get into the MVP discussion coming up here in just a moment. But ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, go look at that, subscribe to it, appreciate it, and like the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. I would appreciate that as well. All right, Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP for the second time in his short career. This is year number 6 for him in the NFL, but it's only year number 5 for him as a starter. Patrick Mahomes yesterday threw 3 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes yesterday completed 21 of 27 passes. Patrick Mahomes only threw for 182 yards. I don't know how many of you out there placed bets and wagers on yesterday's game, but I have a hard time believing that a lot of you bet the under on 200 total passing yards, even against a good defense like the Philadelphia Eagles. I figured even a bad day for Patrick Mahomes would be a 220, 230 range. And I don't think it was a bad game. Some people have a problem with him taking home the MVP trophy. There was nobody else on that team that you could have potentially given that to. However, I do know this from a defensive standpoint. When you talk about the fact that the defense was able to score a touchdown yesterday, that was pretty fascinating if you ask me. But the thing that's interesting is when you look at how they approached that game, when you talk about Burton and everybody too, that made a huge, play and impact on that. It wasn't one of the typical games that we expect from a Patrick Mahomes. He was the MVP yesterday. Now, I know this came in, I believe it was so David Shaw says, should Jalen Hurts have been the Super Bowl MVP? Look, I think that when your team wins, the MVP deserves to be on the team that won that game. Was Jalen Hurts the better quarterback yesterday? Absolutely. But the thing that's fascinating to me is you look at what Patrick Mahomes had to do to will his team. I mean, that was not, I mean, the Chiefs were not that good yesterday, but they put 38 points up on the board. Patrick Mahomes had to will them to every point, every yard, every play, every first down. You obviously the run game for the Chiefs, 158 yards on the ground. But, I like Pacheco, by the way, a rookie running back. I mean, it took a lot of rookies. I mean, you don't understand. This roster is not the best roster in the NFL, not even close. The Cincinnati Bengals roster, I will take over this Chiefs roster hands down. This is like not, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon, they combined for 100 yards between the two and one touchdown. They didn't have, like, they don't have a Joe Mixon. They don't have a Nick Chubb. They don't have a J.K. Dobbins. They don't have an elite running back. They don't have elite wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster, 7 catches for 53 yards, and he didn't make an impact until the second half. Justin Watson, never heard of him. Jerick McKinnon, 3 catches, 15 yards. Kadarius Toney, 1 catch for 5 yards. His biggest play was on special teams. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, his second best wide receiver, 0 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards. Folks, like, what do we do? Like Patrick Mahomes, I know you look at the numbers and say he should not have been the MVP. This is a horrible offense. That is an elite offense because of him. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in football, not even close. Might go down as the best of all time, and we keep moving that bar because we're just coming off of the Gronk era, who is the best tight end in the history of football. You could debate that amongst yourselves. That's fine. Love Travis Kelce. Man, I would love him in Cleveland. Y'all would love him in Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, everyone would love him anywhere he's at. But him and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, that's the best 1-2 punch in football, right up there with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I mean, those two that's a strong punch. No, it doesn't get any better than Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. It is literally Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and that's it. So, Shaw, like, I know we might disagree. I haven't checked the comment section in a moment. But to me, yes, I do believe he deserved that MVP. I think he deserved it because, my God, he has that offense is horrible. You look at those weapons. That is horrible. You put Joe Burrow in this, and I'm not saying Joe Burrow would be bad, but Joe Burrow, I do not think would put up the same numbers that Patrick Mahomes does with this offense. Patrick Mahomes is a different level quarterback than anything we have in the NFL, which is why I posted last night. 5 years as a starter, 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2-time Super Bowl champion. And we're having a debate not even 2 weeks ago about whether or not he's the best quarterback in the NFL. He is top 5 all time already, and he's 5 years into the league, and we're debating about who the best quarterback in the National Football League is. I mean, come on. That's not a shot at Joe Burrow or anybody else. That is just how much I'm complimenting Patrick Mahomes. That's how good Patrick Mahomes is. I have said forever that it's easy to play quarterback on your rookie deal when you have weapons all around you. It was easy to beat Josh Allen. It was easy to beat Joe Burrow. But when you got to take weapons away, ask Aaron Rodgers how good of a quarterback, how easy the game was when he lost his best wide receivers. It wasn't good. He went from a 2-time MVP to not even in the playoffs when they took his number 1 and number 2 wide receivers away. It's easy to be Joe Burrow. It's not easy to be Patrick Mahomes right now, but he makes it look easy because he's that damn good. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you take these weapons away and they're not that, these quarterbacks, it's hard to be that. You take his best weapon away. MVP, wins a Super Bowl MVP. Patrick Mahomes, man, I think he was more than deserving of taking home that MVP. I have no issue with it. With that being said, I think he was still outplayed yesterday by a guy that, again, a little easier for him. He has all the weapons. They have multiple high-level running backs. They have multiple high-level wide receivers. It's easier to be Jalen Hurts than it is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes just makes it look easier because he's Patrick Mahomes. With that being said, holy crap, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is exactly what the Ravens wish Lamar Jackson was, because Jalen Hurts can make plays with his legs. Jalen Hurts can run the football. Jalen Hurts can dominate a football game with his arm or his legs. He is everything that the Baltimore Ravens wish Lamar Jackson was, and I know that sounds like a hot take, and it very well might be. But Lamar Jackson is everything that Jalen Hurts is on the ground, but he is not the same through the air. I will take Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson every day of the week. And I think when it's all said and done, as good as Joe Burrow is, as good as Justin Herbert is, what I saw yesterday, it wasn't just the pure talent, it was the mental capability to play his best game at the highest of levels. We have seen Joe Burrow go to the playoffs twice. We have seen him lead his team to the AFC Championship twice. We've seen him win in the AFC Championship once, and then we saw him crumble in the AFC Championship game this year. We watched Joe Burrow crumble in the Super Bowl last year. 2 of his worst games ever have come at the biggest stage. Jalen Hurts, he made that ish look easy yesterday. My goodness. I mean, you flushed him out of the 27-38, 304 yards and 1 touchdown. Oh, 1 touchdown. Oh, no, he had 4 total touchdowns. He rushed for 3 touchdowns, 15 carries, 70 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground, threw for 300 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts, unfreaking believable. I think I think when it's all said and done, he will be the best quarterback from that 2020 draft class. There's nothing wrong with Joe Burrow. He's still an elite quarterback. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But Joe Burrow can't do what Jalen Hurts did yesterday, and we watched it. I know we watched Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl a year ago against a very good defense. Jalen Hurts went against a very good defense yesterday. He made it look easy. Joe Burrow struggled against that same defense 2 weeks ago. Couldn't do anything. Jalen Hurts did everything. 300 yards, 70 yards on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. And if that team won, he would have been Super Bowl MVP. And that's exactly why I said last week, and Bengals fans got so mad at me. Kenner, don't even try stirring the pot and saying that, we're worried about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has already made people start wondering who the best quarterback in that 2020 draft class is. Joe Burrow's a hell of a dude. But everything that you say Joe Burrow is for the Bengals, Jalen Hurts is that and then some for the Eagles. And we saw him play his best game ever at the biggest game of his career yesterday. Joe Burrow did not play his biggest game on the biggest stage last year. Joe Burrow also was not good enough to get his team back to the Super Bowl this year against a Chiefs team that was worse than a year ago. I'll take Jalen Hurts. I mean, I'm a complete believer in Jalen Hurts after yesterday, but I believe we saw the 2 best teams. And a year from now, we might be talking about these 2 guys as the 2 best quarterbacks in the National Football League, because that's how much, I mean, especially if Jalen Hurts is adding that, he's complementing that pass game with that run game. I mean, we're talking about a guy 300 yards through the air, 70 yards on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. I get why people think he should have been the MVP. I still think the MVP should go to the quarterback on the winning team. But I'm all about Patrick Mahomes coming away with that yesterday. His numbers weren't great. He didn't have a hell of a lot of help yesterday either. I'm all about what we saw from Jalen Hurts moving forward. And I think the Eagles, they have their star. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. You heard what I have to say. Kev's back in the studio. We're going to hang out with Kev Nash on the other side when we come back. He's back. You left me hanging. Kev Nash, where are you at? You like Vontez Scantling. Can't find you anywhere. We'll be right back.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
I thought learning a language would be too much work, but Babbel makes learning fun. J'aime Babel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes, and soon you turn and realize, hey, I'm starting to speak another language. How'd that happen?
Babbel isn't robots talking. You learn words and phrases from real native speakers. I was ready for real-life conversations in just a few weeks. So easy.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com. It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo. Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy. Taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Dancing crew, trip for two, nailed the final interview. Game with Doug, brand new mug. Come here, kid, give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. New COVID-19 boosters designed for recent Omicron variants are now available. Learn about eligibility and schedule a free updated booster today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
The Tile Shop is your destination for ceramic, porcelain, and natural stone tile and luxury vinyl tile. Explore a wide range of unique looks and exclusive designs. Visit your local Dayton Tile Shop showroom today.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Tomorrow, Valentine's Day. Indeed. Black Rock Bar and Grill, that's where it's at. The wife and I, we did Valentine's Day this past Saturday.
I always question that. Should we do it this past weekend, actually tomorrow, or this upcoming weekend? I was confused. So we're doing this upcoming weekend.
The most hillbilly thing I've ever done is do Valentine's Day on Saturday because we got bowling on Tuesday nights. And damn it, I'm on a hot streak, and you can't get in the middle of my Tuesday night bowling. Poking lanes. Valentine's Day.
Bowling's for lovers.
So there's that nonetheless. But Kenner and Cav back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So Shaw wanted to know, Kev, he said, should Jalen Hurts have been the Super Bowl MVP? And I said, there's two things that could be true about with me saying, I think Patrick Mahomes should have been the MVP. I'm not saying that at the expense of Jalen Hurts. It's just, to me, I think the MVP should have, if Patrick Mahomes didn't throw any touchdowns or whatever, but no, there's no way they would have won that football game. He was the most valuable player yesterday on the winning team. I just think, has there ever been MVP from the losing team?
The only MVP that I know of from a losing team in any team sport is Jerry West back in the day in the NBA, where he won MVP and the Lakers lost the finals. I think the MVP needs to go to whomever off of the winning team.
Okay. So that's kind of where I was. But then when I started looking at it, I'm like, man, Patrick Mahomes, we do this thing where we look at the final, about 182 yards. That's it. Well, he was beyond efficient. Threw the ball 27 times. I mean, he was 21 to 27. Completed 20. He was efficient. All right. 182 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Pacheco and McKinnon, they combined for about 110 yards. I mean, they had an okay run game. Pacheco picked up some big chunk yards when they needed it. I don't know. I look up at, they put up 38 points on a very good Eagles defense, but there's no one popped off the page. Travis Kelce was dominant, just like he's been the last couple of weeks on those opening drives, and then he kind of fades away for a bit. He had 1 catch for 10 yards in the second half. That was about it. Some of the guys, Juju. So Travis Kelce was dominant in the first half. Juju was kind of nowhere. He was kind of quiet because I needed big performances from him and Scantling. Then I felt good because later in that second quarter into the second half, Juju went off. He got his, 81, or he got his 53 yards on those 7 catches, but it wasn't a great game. No one had, outside of Kelce, no one had a dominant game. Even Kadarius Toney, one catch, 5 yards in the touchdown, but his biggest play of the game was that 60-yard punt return that set them up for a nice, touchdown at the crucial moments.
If he returned that all the way to the house, he probably would have been MVP.
Yeah, and that would have been when's the last? Has anyone on special? Did Howard and Hester? Did Hester do it?
No, Devin Hester. They lost to the Colts down in Miami.
Oh, that's right. But he ran it back.
Opening up kickoff return to the house. But Desmond Howard.
Yeah, against KB. Desmond Howard. That was the year they played the Patriots and with Keith Byers there. So nonetheless, but so real quick. So on that, I just said Patrick Mahomes. I had no problem with that.
I have no problem with that. If it was going to be anybody else besides Patrick Mahomes, it probably would have been Nick Bolden, the linebacker from Kansas City. He almost had two. I think that's a fumble. The Miles Sanders.
I thought so too. I know he didn't move that foot forward, but like both feet are planted and he brought it in.
I thought that was a fumble. I thought that was a second scoop and score for Nick Bolton. And he would have got the MVP if that was ultimately a scoop and score the other way for Kansas City. With 2 touchdowns, he would have definitely deserved MVP. So when it's a situation like that, you do have the MVP of the league, the quarterback. The quarterback always going to get that extra bell rung in their direction. So for me, it's either Nick Bolden because he had the scoop and score and he had a couple tackles, or Patrick Mahomes for the MVP. But talking to your point about Jalen Hurts, outstanding. Yep. Outstanding. I mean, he balled out of control. I know he had the fumble and everything like that, but ultimately got that touchdown back. I mean, 300 yards passing, 70 on the ground, and the Kansas City Chiefs basically dared him to beat them with his arm. He tied them with his arm. Ultimately, Kansas City was able to get that field goal to win the game, but it wasn't on Jalen Hurts. It wasn't on that offense. Forget Jalen Hurts. It wasn't on that offense. The offense was able to put up 35 points on Kansas City. That should be enough points to win a football game. And Jalen Hurts definitely silenced a lot of folks out there with that performance he put on with everybody watching. I mean, we know how many eyeballs are on the Super Bowl. He didn't go out there and make a fool of himself and say, like, look, this is the reason why nobody wants to pay you or anything like that. He definitely showed out.
Yeah, 27-38, 304 yards in the air, 70 yards on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. So I said a little bit ago, this could be a shot at Lamar if you want to take it that way or not. But I said, like, this, the way who Jalen, now to be fair to Lamar, Jalen has all these weapons. I'm going to put this guy, Scott is on hold. I see Scott and Bob. We'll get to you guys in a second. But I feel like, to be fair, Jalen has the weapons in Philly that Lamar does not have there. But I feel like Jalen is what the Ravens want Lamar to be, as lethal in the air as he is on the ground. If anything, I think what the Ravens want with Lamar is to be more lethal in the air than on the ground, with the ground being your safety blanket if the play kind of, breaks down, whatever. When we saw from Jalen Hurts yesterday, the fact that you could throw for 300 yards and still rush for 70 and have 4 total touchdowns, with 3 of those being on the ground. And by the way, 4th and inches, no. 4th and 3, we're doing a quarterback sneak. I've never seen a quarterback sneak on 4th and 3 before, but that has a lot to do with the Kelsey brother right there in the middle, just leading the pack. But Jalen's such a big ass dude. Like, you can't bring him down. He's a big guy. I think that if that's who Jalen is, if that's who he is moving forward, that's top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And arguably we could have just watched if he picks up or he leaves off next year, if that's who Jalen is, healthy and in the flow of that offense, that offensive line, balanced run game, and those receivers, my God, that's the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL right there, based on what I saw yesterday.
It was
magical.
Insane. It was nice. And this goes back to the thing I talked about with the Baltimore Ravens and their offense. Remember before the playoff game versus Cincinnati Bengals, what I don't like about their offense is it's condensed. Everything's tight. You see Philly, wide splits. They line their wide receivers up out wide and they stack them out wide. So that leaves people open for gaps. The Ravens don't do that. So that's the type of stuff that their next offensive coordinator needs to do, which only makes sense because Lamar isn't a power runner like a Jalen. He's a speed. So more space for somebody that's super fast only increases his explosiveness. So there's a lot of rumors about their next offensive coordinator potentially being Eric Bieniemy. For some strange reason, Eric Bieniemy has to go coordinate his own offense before he can become a head coach, even though, other guys are pass game coordinators and get head coaching jobs, but that's neither here nor there. I would love to see that happen for the Baltimore Ravens as a Lamar Jackson fan, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I hope they hire me as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so we shall see what ends up happening. But thoughts from what I saw, like I expected Jalen Hurts to have a good game. Like that was an elite game. That was as impressive of a Super Bowl performance because he was what today's NFL quarterbacks are. Like whether you guys like it or not, you like our traditional pocket. That's a thing of the past. Even Joe Burrow is capable of picking up plays with his legs. You don't think of him as this super athletic quarterback, but like we've watched him in big games pick up a lot of chunk yards with his legs when he has to. But the power and the strength and then the arm strength. I mean, Jalen, I know that Hail Mary at the end, whatever. Okay, who cares? Like if we're people critiquing that, I mean, come on. If that's the only thing you have to critique him on, more power to you. But
forget the other 27 passes he completed.
So I thought he balled out. I thought that was his best game of his career. And Kev, I will always go with the guy that when his best game of his career comes on the biggest stage, that means he has it between the ears. That means he has, anyone out there that wants to question those types of things when it comes to the stereotyping of African-American, you don't have to worry about that with Jalen Hurts because that dude, he was on it. He was leading the charge, and there wasn't a damn thing that Chiefs defense could do about it. So, and the deep ball too, it wasn't just the short passes. Devontae Smith had a fantastic game. That was every time he gets hit, though, you fear he's done. He's done. Right? Like, take advantage of while you have him because, my God, he sneezes. That dude's on the IR for at least 4 weeks. So,
Goodness gracious. I mean, I'm sure this has been a thing since he's been in high school. Actually, they actually talked about it in the pregame, the part that I did see about him when he graduated from high school. He weighed 145 pounds. You know how good you got to be or how fast you got to be a 5-star wide receiver to go to Alabama and you only weigh 145 pounds? That's how talented this dude is, that they say, he's a $145, but where we still want him.
I weighed 155 my senior year of high school.
Look at you.
I weigh a couple more pounds than I did my senior year of high school.
It happens.
518-1410. Thoughts on the quarterback play from yesterday? Obviously, the MVP of the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, that puts him into that upper echelon of quarterback, separating himself from everyone else in the league. But we could talk about what kind of performance and great, what that means for his legacy. But I think the quarterback that did the most for his legacy yesterday, Kev, was honestly the losing quarterback. I think what he did was put himself in that category of superstar quarterback in the NFL. And now I think what the Eagles are pissed off that they lost that Super Bowl. But you want to know what those owners what they did last night? They slept like babies. We don't have to worry about whether we should pay this quarterback or not, because there's a lot of owners out there. Man, like we like what we see, but we're just not sure. We don't know. There's no doubts right now about the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. That's for sure. 518-1410. Let's go to Bob in Riverside. Bob, you are on live, sir. How are you?
Boy, I'm doing great. I want to say the quarterbacks played outstanding, but I think you guys are really missing the point. You know who the MVP should have been at that game? Even though it'll never happen.
Creed Humphrey.
How about the offensive line of the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Why did everybody pick the Eagles? Because they had 70 sacks and they put pressure on everybody all year. Did they get anywhere near Patrick Mahomes? No,
not even once.
They didn't get nowhere near him. And vice versa. Did Chris Jones play yesterday? Because I didn't hear his name. Did they get anywhere near Jalen Hurts? So to me, the whole story of that game was you had the two best offensive lines in the NFL. Both quarterbacks, I don't even think they had to wash their uniforms. So, and especially like the point, Justin, you mentioned, a quarterback sneak from the 4.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
They did that because the Chiefs blew them off the line. It wasn't Jalen Hurts. It was the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line blew them guys off the line. And it was the whole game. Every time, you look at Patrick Mahomes and he is outstanding. He's like Michael Jordan right now. But, what did he throw? A couple of 5-yard passes for touchdowns? Under no duress? Dude had no duress. I mean, that was the shocking part to me from a team that had 70-some plus sacks. Did Hassan Riddick, did he play last night? I didn't hear none of them guys. Nobody on the defensive lines, did they play? And the Chiefs' offensive line, to me, whoever team won, the offensive line should have been the MVP. I know that'll never happen, but the Chiefs destroyed Philly's offensive line. Mahomes didn't have to do nothing. And I'm not saying you could put, me or you back there, but I bet you can put a lesser quarterback back there that had 5 minutes to throw the ball and they could complete some passes. Now,
Well, to be fair, I thought they did get to him. They didn't sack him, Bob. I thought that there was, and by the way, I thought Philly did a good job downfield. I mean, I don't think his weapons are all that great outside of Kelsey, but he had no one open. I mean, a lot of times he was scrambling in and out of the pocket, and you're right, the O-line did hold up and allow him not to get sacked, but I still thought there was a few times where they have pushed him out of the pocket, and they were kind of chasing him down a bit. But they did a great job of keeping him from getting sacked. But I thought that they were still putting pressure on him. But everything you said is correct. I mean, it's still, that's the leading, that team had 78 sacks coming in. Just keeping him from getting touched at all was a miracle in itself with the way that team was performing all season. But overall, you're right. Both O-lines played fantastic yesterday.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Yeah, he still, I bet when they re-show that game again, watch that game and watch the trenches. Look how much time he had to throw. And when he did take off, that's because his receivers, who aren't that good other than Kelsey, they just weren't open.
Yeah.
And so he just took off. He took off running when he had to. But again, both of them dudes had about 5 seconds to throw. So I can't compare them. And I don't want to bring up a Joe Burrow thing. I really don't, but I will. You can't compare. That offensive line, that's apples and oranges. Chris Jones, again, wrecked the game in the Bengals game. Chris Jones didn't even play yesterday. Chris Jones shouldn't even take I don't know what part you get from the Super Bowl. He shouldn't even get his part because he didn't play. I didn't see him at all yesterday against Philly's line. And the key is going to be, they got a couple guys, Kelsey and what's the right tackle, Lane Johnson. They got a couple guys that may retire. But they have put together an outstanding line. And to me, what I learned from that, of anything, is that you can have all the weapons you want. It doesn't matter. Because look at Patrick Mahomes when they played Tampa Bay. He sure didn't look like Michael Jordan then. He was on his butt. So the line play, to me, is everything. That's why Mahomes was getting all them questions when they played Tampa Bay, because he was under duress. They went out, put the money in that line, and look what happened. He doesn't need Tyreek Hill. He doesn't need a lot of weapons because he's going to get 5 seconds to throw the ball to Jarrett McKinnon and Justin Kenner. So it don't matter. So he's awesome. And Jalen Hurts played great, but kudos to the line. That's both lines, because again, both defensive fronts came in vaunted, and they didn't get anywhere near either one of those quarterbacks. So many points scored. Who would have thought that many points would be scored with those two defenses? They didn't even show up. It was the two offensive lines. Those were my MVPs.
No, I get that, but the Chiefs' offense wasn't good in that Super Bowl against the Buccaneers that year. But I mean, you still had Mahomes nearly throw for 300 yards under duress, and Kelsey had like 100 and something receiving yards that game. Like, he still played at a high level against the Bucs. That offense just can get any flow in that Super Bowl that year. I think Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's able to show off his greatness because of that O-line. But, I mean, we've seen him show it off even when he hasn't had the best protection. But that was the Super Bowl that led to them really investing into that O-line after that.
Yeah.
They've been a different animal since. So we'll see.
He's Michael Jordan. I mean, he's awesome. Nobody's on his level. They shouldn't be doing that. But, again, that line is their line is outstanding. To me, they should have been the MVP. Of course, that'll never happen. And one answer to one of your questions, Harvey Martin of Dallas, back before you guys were born, I think they lost, and when the Cowboys lost, and I think he was the MVP. I believe it was one of them Cowboy defensive linemen that was the MVP or something like that. Chuck Howley or one of them guys, I don't know. But anyway, that has happened. But anyway, again, enjoyable game. I really thoroughly enjoyed the game, very entertaining. But to me, the lines, that was what it's all about. And again, Chris Jones, he even looked embarrassed when he sat down at the stand. What was he going to do? Did he make? I'm going to go look at the stat. Did he make any tackles? I don't know. Did he? Kevin, did he play? I don't know. I didn't see him. All right, guys.
Bob still sound mad about what Chris
Bob,
Jones did to the Bengals.
Look, and Bob's awesome, all that, but like those are the vibes I've been getting all day. Like, I mean, we're gonna see. So he was if Hendrickson wouldn't have made a sack yet, would we have said he shouldn't even be he should be off the team? Well, like you could hear the subtle jabs Bengals fans are taking at they enjoyed watching Kansas City struggle, and they hated watching them win yesterday. And I get that's part of the rivalry. But yeah, Chris Jones was quiet, but the Philadelphia Eagles has the best offensive line in football. And guess who has the second best offensive line in football? Maybe tied for the best offensive line, the Chiefs. This is why, like, the Bengals are always, until they address that offensive line in a way that's going to be more consistent, Kev, they're always going to be a team that's able to overcome the bad offensive line against average to below average teams in the regular season, but they're always going to come up short in the playoffs because yesterday, that's why I like the Browns' chances over the next couple years over the Bengals, even though the Bengals have more weapons at this. The Browns have it figured out up front. And until the Bengals figure that out up front, until your team figures it out up front, yesterday's a prime example. By the way, you look at the AFC, NFC championship, it all came down. Those were the 4 best lines in football.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals do have it figured out offensive line wise. To your point, injuries bit them this playoff run. Obviously, we look at that Bills game, and they were able to maul the Buffalo Bills up front and use that power running game. But then, 3/5 of that offensive line finally came back to bite them in the butt versus Kansas City Chiefs. Is depth, and that's the thing about the NFL. How much depth can you actually create on a 53-man roster? This ain't college football where you can have 80, 90 guys on there and you got a 5-star coming in for another 5-star. It just don't work like that. So, for the Cincinnati Bengals, it's a little luck involved, injury luck involved, and it's a little bit of, hey, man, we got to get these guys that we do have that are backups bigger and faster and stronger. So when we do have injuries, they can come in there and play at a replacement level type of performance.
So when you say they have it figured out, they have maybe they have no depth. That's why, to me, they don't have it figured out. You lose Lyle Collins and you lose Alex Kappa, and that means you lost your whole offensive line. That's why, to me, they don't have it figured out because they don't even have someone that can come in and play average offensive line play. That's why I didn't get too excited about that Buffalo Bills performance, because that was more of Buffalo having a bad game versus the Bengals having a good game, although they still didn't make the mistake. I get that. But nonetheless, that I just mean in general, even though the Bengals invest more. So you don't need T and Jamar and Joe Burrow. You just need Jamar. Move on from T, trade him for draft picks, load up that offensive line. Watch the Super Bowl and understand that the Chiefs is the blueprint for the Bengals moving forward. If they want to continue to succeed, they have to stop this idea that they're going to keep those 3 and then just keep filling the rest with draft picks. I just don't see how that's going to work. But nonetheless, we got to see what they do. Nonetheless, we'll see. 518-1410. Let's go to Scott. Scott, you are up, sir. How are you?
I'm great. First, I got a compliment for you, which this doesn't come very often, so enjoy it. I watched your little clip on the TV this morning on Facebook, and you actually had the best take I've listened to all day on the Super Bowl, on the officiating. You were funny. You were the whole "where's my camera" routine. I don't know if that was real or not, but that was funny.
I knew exactly where my camera was, man.
Everything you did this morning was great. I was really proud of you. I really enjoyed that whole segment. I think you're the master of the short sports segment on local news. That was great.
I really appreciate that. And Nathan Edwards and Elise, they're awesome. They continue to invite me back, but I love Dayton 24/7 now and them continuing to having me back. But no, thank you for that. I always enjoy any TV time that they give me. Nonetheless, it's good exposure for the show and for the station. But I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up, and this isn't necessarily a Super Bowl thing, there were 3 teams at the beginning of the year who had very similar quarterbacks. And all 3 were question marks. And Baltimore, Arizona, and Philly. And I think Philly has the only grown up in the clubhouse. And he's someone. If you look at the arc of his career, it ain't perfect. It's got little blips on it, but he's always tried to get better. He's always towed the line. He doesn't throw his coach or his ownership under the bus. He doesn't take his shit down. I'm sorry. He doesn't take his stuff off the internet.
Man, we had a good run go. He was complimenting me. Why he was being nice. Scott, we got to ask you, man. That's just the rule. That's the rule, man. That was hard for me. He was complimenting me. I want to keep hearing what Scott said. Scott, that's just a rule we have. We'll talk soon, but that's just the rule. We're doing so good. So good.
We got Ron line 3. And
goody.
It's not the Ron.
Oh, it's not the Ron. It's a different Ron. Okay.
Ron and Kettering.
What up? Ron and Kettering. How are you, sir? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. Thanks for asking. What you got, man?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
And I heard some of your comments you made. Both of you guys I know watched the game with the Bengals in Kansas City. And I'm a Cowboy fan, but I do root for the Bengals when my Cowboys are the Cowboys and they played like they did. So my question to you, both of you guys, like I said, I know you watched the game. I'm not trying to compare Burrow to anybody else. I'm asking both of you guys, do you believe, watching that game, do you think that the coach caused them to lose the game?
You talking about the Cincinnati Bengals game versus Kansas City?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, I don't think that he coach had anything to do with them losing the game.
So let me ask the question. I guess I'm watching because I watch a lot of football. I'm kind of an old guy, so I've been around it a long time. So when the Bengals had the ball and they had the 2-minute timeout for the 2-minute warning for the end of the game, they had the ball in their hands, and it was 2nd down and 3 yards. They had control of the ball, and it was 2nd down, 3 yards to get a first down. Do you really think they should have threw 2 passes back to back?
Well, those are decisions that are made by the quarterback to take the long shot to Jamar Chase where the ball hit Jamar Chase in the helmet, and then he took the other deep shot, I believe, to T. Higgins. Those are more than one option. You can check it down to a tight end or a running back or throw a safer pass than a 50-50 ball. So, like, he doesn't have to throw the ball to those guys. He has options to throw it to. But I see your point. Try to run the ball, but they haven't been able to run the ball all game long. That was their first real positive run the whole game.
Well,
they were moving the ball because of the pass.
Yeah, I know they did. I agree, but still, I believe some of the running that they had, he was getting 3 or 4 yards. I just believe that they could have. If I'm the coach, I'm saying, you're not throwing the ball. You're going to hand the ball off to your running back, and we're going to pick up 3 yards. But I'm beyond that now because just the way I believe. I believe the coach could have called 2 running plays instead of 2 pass plays. And if it was Burrow making that decision, guess what? Then I'm against Burrow. So,
well, it was definitely him making the decision to take 2 long shots to Chase and then another one to T. Higgins. But if I'm looking at anything like kind of like costing them game outside of the roughing the passer or whatever call that was on the sideline to set up the field goal, it's the punt return that set them up. Kansas City Chiefs set them up to actually have a chance to go down there and set up a field goal. So I'm looking at my punt coverage more than anything.
And a lot of that too, by the way. I mean, the Bengals trailed that game most of the time as well. And and at that time, it's not like they weren't running the ball extremely well. And by the way, you're going to have a hard time convincing Bengals fans that you should continue handing it off when you have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase and all of that. But again, with the offensive line being banged up, you want to neutralize that a bit. And I get all that, but I think it sounds like you're not a Zach Taylor guy. I don't compliment the Bengals often, but I admit I was wrong. I admit I was dead wrong about Zach Taylor. I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he's done as good a job as any coach in football with this Cincinnati Bengals team. So I'm not as down on him as some, but you don't seem like a big Zach Taylor fan.
No, I'm okay with Zach Taylor. Actually, I've listened to you complimenting him. I've heard you, in the beginnings where he wasn't that great, but I think he did a great job. I just feel like that last possession they had, I just feel like it wasn't taken advantage of. What I did see of the running backs in that game, I feel like they could have picked up 3 yards easily, and he could have used some short passes to get them down the field and field goal range. That's just the way I feel. It was a great game all the way around.
So Steve,
that's how I feel.
Steve, I'm looking at the stats right now. Shamaji P. Ryan, 5 carries for 22 yards, a long run of 7 yards. So that was that run that set up that 2nd and 3. Joe Mixon, 8 carries, 19 yards, a long of 7 yards. They haven't been able to run the ball all day with the running backs. Their leading rusher is Joe Burrow with 30 yards. So if you want to talk about maybe one of those good old Urban Meyer quarterback powers or QB draw, you might be cooking with some grease right there. But just a strictly handing off to P. Ryan or Mixon, Chris Jones wasn't having that.
Yeah. And you just made a point for me right there. Even Burrow, I feel like he could have got it. If he was as good as these quarterbacks like Mahomes and Hurts that played last night, those guys wanted to win a game. And you saw what happened when they couldn't throw the ball. What did both quarterbacks do? They got the first down. So,
Yeah. But no, hey, man, we appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. We're just up against the clock right now.
All right. You're fine. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate the comment. Thank you. Kenner and Cav live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I mean, no, like if he's not a Zach Taylor fan, that's fine. I'm not really sure. I was 2 weeks ago. I was 3 weeks ago. Like, I want to answer his questions, but I'm like, that was 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's just kind of random. But I appreciate the call. I just forwarded you. Some guy just emailed me. He's mad at me. So I don't know if you read the email yet, but even, I changed my ways. I still get called every name in the book. So a year ago, I don't know if I told you this. So I did tell you this right before we went on. A year ago was the Super Bowl, Bengals Rams, and I changed my profile picture at the end when the Bengals lost. I changed it to the Rams.
Oh yes, I remember.
And I got called every name in the book that you can imagine, including the name that the guy called me in the email I just sent to you. I just forwarded you the email now, just for.
Let me see. Of course, it was Buffalo playing bad. Oh, I can't say that word on the radio.
No. This guy's, but I appreciate him listening. Scotty, I wish you had the guts to use your full name because I would give you a shout out on the radio. So I could, Scotty B is his name, but But anyways, no, that's fine. Look, thing is, I'm glad he's listening. But nonetheless, great Super Bowl yesterday. The only thing that stinks now is off-season time. Tomorrow, excited for Mark Adams. He's going to be in studio. Talk about college basketball with him. We'll be talking about the Dayton Flyers, who, by the way, how about this? How about this on Friday night, Kev? So I was at the Nutter Center for Wright State, Northern Kentucky, big rivalry game. They had about 6,000 fans at the Nutter Center that night for that one. That was on ESPNU.
Yep.
Say what you want about all the seats that weren't filled. I don't really care. If you were there that night, you could feel, you watched it on TV, you could hear how loud that place was. I mean, Wright State's finally at a point to where, do they want that place more full? Absolutely. But the atmosphere and like the investment that the fans are actually giving to that program now is pretty cool. I'll take 5,000 invested fans. Like I remember when I first started covering the team, Kev, 2,000 to 3,000 fans per night. Not very good, very quiet, just kind of dull. Then they'd give out the T-shirts, and then you'd get your 10,000 fans, and then they would be 10,000 of the quietest fans you'd ever have because they weren't invested into the program.
Right.
Wright State's at the point now where they got 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 fans every night that are invested into the program, invested into the product, the players, and the coaches. That's how you start building it back up.
Yeah.
And that was as loud as I've heard that place and passionate as I've heard that place in a long, long time. Loud and Love, former players were there. It's pretty cool. You start to see some of that like tradition kind of. I'm happy for the direction of that program. Scott Nagy's been there for 6th to 7th year now doing this thing. The program was struggling at the beginning of the season. Now they've hit their stride. It's one of the best teams in the league, and they thumped them on ESPNU. That same night, Dayton, 13,000 fans hosting St. Louis at UD Arena, Kev. This city, college basketball, 19,000 fans, 2 different arenas. I'm sorry, this idea that, I can't go to that arena because I'm a Dayton fan. I can't go to Dayton because this city has proven that, hey, they could support 2. I think that's pretty cool. I'm a little worried that knowing Dayton had a home game that night. I'm like, oh, man, they probably would have – maybe there would have been more fans at the Nutter Center if Dayton didn't play that night. But the fact that this city put 19,000 fans in 2 different arenas, 6,000 at the Nutter, 13 at UD, that's pretty damn cool if you ask me. Someone will take that and make fun of that. I'm like, no, that's actually pretty damn cool. Because if you ask me, in the mindset of some UD fans, UD's playing, not one single person going to go to the Nutter Center. That's not true at all. That was as loud as I've heard that Nutter Center in a long time. And that's guys that are that's fans invested into this program. And it's loud almost every night I go there now. Like, that's pretty cool. Just wanted to highlight that, though. Love college basketball. It's my favorite time of year. And you could tell we're ramping up for that. I think that's pretty exciting. That's why I'm excited for Mark Adams to come on. Talked to Clark Kellogg the other day. He's excited to come on. So we're going to talk some Ohio State. And he goes, how about we talk Dayton and Wright State? I said, Clark. All right, Clark. Anything you say,
Buckeyes,
I love Clark. But
Buckeyes.
we got some former officials. How about this? So I met Randy Drury. He is a observer for the Horizon League and the Mid-American Conference for officials.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a former Big Ten official. He officiated in the Big Ten during the Bobby Knight years.
Okay.
just met him at the Nutter Center the other night. He's going to come on with us later this week. He's going to come in studio. We're going to talk all things officiating with him because y'all think y'all have crapped on officials to the point to where like you all are bullies. This dude dealt with Bobby Knight. So there's nothing you can say that he like. I can't wait for him to share his Bobby Knight stories, and he has some good ones, right? But no, Randy's a pretty good dude. Excited to have him in to hear, have him share some of his experiences dealing with Bobby Knight and back, yes. I mean, my goodness. I might throw a chair at him to test his reflexes. See, we'll see what happens. But jacked about that. Let's see. Perkins. Kendrick Perkins has a new book coming out. We'll be having him on next week. Stephen A. Smith going to be coming on to promote his new book coming up here in the next month. We got a lot of great guests coming up. It's the NFL offseason. I get that. But that just means we turn the corner, flip the switch. And I have to go. Bronson Arroyo, just chatted with him today, too.
You've been busy.
Yes, I am, because I've panicked, dude. I'm like, NFL's done. Now we have to work. It's like being Joe Burrow with all these weapons. That's sports radio host is like during the NFL season. I feel like Joe Burrow with all my weapons. When we get to the off season, I feel like Patrick Mahomes with only one weapon being Travis Kelce. It's still fun and it's easy, but it's not as easy as what it. Yes, but no, we're excited for all the great guests we have coming up, and then obviously all the off-season moves that's going to be going on, AFC North, all that fun stuff. I know NFL I left something out. I know there's something else. We got a St. Patrick's Day event coming up.
Oh, yes.
I got to start training for that right now.
You should.
I know. The sad thing is I do need to probably train just for that. Oof. Kidder and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Kinner from my friends at Black Rock Bar and Grill. And if you are a bourbon aficionado, you are going to want to listen up. Black Rock has Black Rock Eagle Rare. It's the bourbon that you have been waiting to try. Why not make it an evening with some great appetizers as well? Or better yet, get with your significant other and celebrate Valentine's this week at Black Rock. You will have all the motivation in the world to try Eagle Rare right at your table. And take it from me, if you have not been there yet, the dining experience at Black Rock is unlike anything else around Dayton or even Southwest Ohio. Steaks, seafood, and other great choices prepared by you at your table on a sizzling volcanic rock. Now, keep in mind, you do not have to prepare your food yourself on that hot volcanic rock right there at your table. But let's be honest, it does make what is an already great experience that much more memorable. Make plans now to be at Black Rock Bar and Grill at Fairfield Commons in Beaver Creek to enjoy lunch, dinner, happy hour, and Black Rock Eagle Rare bourbon. And don't forget to tell your friends. And as always, please drink responsibly.
Why? Just think about it. Why is the #1 selling brand of chainsaws not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot? We can give you over 10,000 reasons. That's how many authorized local steel dealers you can find across the country. Visit one and you'll find a range of dependable